After 30 years of marriage, she was blindsided. One unexpected moment changed the direction of her entire life, her home, and everything she thought she knew about the future. One day, the life she thought was stable was suddenly gone, and she was left trying to understand what happened, what she lost, and how to begin again. But the hardest part wasn't just the divorce itself. It was looking around her home and realizing she now had to sort through all the lifetime of memories, decisions, and belongings without the future she expected. When the marriage ended, the house became more than the house. It became a mirror of everything she had loved, lost, and had to let go. That's what makes her story so reliable. She's a part of the growing number of adults over 50 facing divorce after decades of marriage, often right when life was supposed to feel settled. In the US, 36% of divorces now involve adults 50 and older, and the rate among people over 50 has roughly doubled since 1990.
Honoretta, that really surprises me. It surprises me that it was 36%, but as I started to take care of those things myself, I realize how many, whether it's through divorce or whether it's through death of a spouse, how many women were in
Going through this, yeah,
the same thing, going through the same thing.
It's
Yeah.
unreal. I was surprised myself when I read the statistic that I was like, gosh, it's a lot. It's humongous. And I think Oklahoma, by the way, it's leading the way because we have so many divorces here. I don't know about like 55 plus, but divorces and all, we have a lot in Oklahoma.
Right.
Women after 50 can face major economic consequences after divorce, making smaller housing and simpler living not just emotional choices, but financial necessities because, like a lot of people, the income is divided in half. So how was it for you?
Yes, that was immediate for me. All of a sudden, I was down to just my income. Thankfully, I have always done pretty well myself, but at the same time, it was devastating.
But you said you are the planner, so
I am.
even though that it was surprise going through the divorce,
Right.
but before, have you planned your future? Like, did you have any savings put aside for yourself?
Luckily, yes. I always had a 401k. I've always been heavily insured, long term, short term. I thought that I had everything planned
That you were
pretty well.
settled.
Yes, yes. Until all of a sudden I realized, oh, it's just me.
Well, all the decision you have to make had to be made right now only by yourself. So you didn't have like the advisor, like the second half to help you.
No, but I did realize that I had to get that. I realized that I needed a financial advisor. I realized that I needed to talk with my real estate agent. I knew that I needed to maybe even have somebody to help me to come and declutter because there were so many things that I was holding on to that I didn't want to take to my new space.
Divorce is widely described as a grief-like, with denial, anger, of course, depression, confusion, especially for the partner who did not initiate it. But I think it's going both ways.
Really, on the emotional, I went through all of those emotions, but I also did not have time to stay in them. I knew that it was natural for me to be sad and to grieve and all of that, but I knew that I couldn't stay there. I knew that I needed to plan. I knew that I needed to start moving ahead. What was I going to do with my house? How was I going to go through all of these things and move forward?
When you were thinking about the home, like the home is usually the place when you feel safe.
Yes.
And suddenly it's destroyed because you have to downsize, or you have to kind of separate from the stuff you loved and you had in your home. So how did you feel about that?
I really, on that level, it was sad, but I got really involved in my church, and they really helped me a lot through the emotional side of it. And then I had to switch to there are things that I have to take care of. And what I realized is that those four walls, those memories, everything, they were still there. Those memories were going to be there whether I was in this specific home or not. The memories were going to travel with me, and I did not need all of this stuff. I started looking. There were things up in my attic that had been up there for 10 years. I never pulled them down, or I think about all of the little things. And I said, if I haven't touched it, used it, if it didn't have a really, really emotional connection for me, I had to let it go. And what I did is I called some of the nonprofits. After I went through everything, I called nonprofit agencies and I said, hey, I've got this house full of things that I want to give to somebody. I want some of these things to bless somebody, even if it was a little squeaky toy that one of the grandchildren left behind. I didn't want to take all of that to the new place. I didn't need it. The memories were still with me. Wherever I was going, I was going to feel at home.
So what I am getting from it is that the support of the community is very important.
Yes.
And really, we are attaching ourselves to the stuff that are not that important. At heart.
Right. Well, and something else that I realized just before going through the divorce, I've always been in the senior industry, but I started asking people, what are you holding on to these things for? And I asked somebody very specifically, I said, let me ask you something. When you and your husband die, your children and your grandchildren are grown pretty much. I said, they're going to have to go through all of these things. And I said, and they're like, oh, well, all of these things, I want to give this person this and this person this and this person this. And I said, so your children are going to go through this. They're going to be heartbroken at that moment. And you want them to go through all of this.
It's hard. It's a hard decision to make. Not many people realize that maybe they should start sorting through the stuff a little bit earlier in life to kind of be prepared for, unknown. Excuse me. Because, like you said, you end up with the house full of things which later on nobody wants.
Nobody wants it. Oh, yes. And that was something too. I was like, this person, I don't want to say who it is, but they literally had newspapers stacked from the floor halfway up the wall. And I'm like, what are you saving that for? Oh, they're old news articles. Who wants them? The children don't want them, And the children don't want to have to go through and clean out your things as they're grieving.
One of the most meaningful parts of this kind of transition is deciding what to do with the things that carry family history. Sometimes it's a jewelry, sometimes it's a little keepsakes, and sometimes it's a piece you want your children to have one day. The part can be really emotional because it's not just about giving things away. It's about choosing what still belongs in a family and what those items mean now. And I would like to ask you, how this process worked for you. It was really probably hard to decide what do you want to give to your children, what really have a meaning to them, and what really has a meaning to you.
Right. And that was the thing for me. For me, I started decluttering because we were moving. We were moving in between Alabama and Oklahoma, and I started looking at things simply like clothes in the closet. Had I worn that in a year? If not, why am I holding on to it? So I did a little bit of decluttering then, but with the divorce, that decluttering was a little bit different because I was thinking about what I needed to give to the kids, what I wanted to keep myself, what belonged to him. And the truth is that the things that I gave the children, things that I had held on to, like the little popsicles stick things that they did in first grade, that certificate that they had. And my children did not want that. And I had been carrying those boxes and
Forever.
forever, and I was like, what? Because it was sweet to me. It had meaning to me, but they didn't want it. So that is what made me realize about as I'm aging, what am I holding on to and why am I holding on to it? Is it just the memory that I'm really holding on to? Or does this thing that I'm carrying have some type of value? And I really had to look at that.
And for the women watching this who may be going through something similar, I think this part matters most. When life changes that suddenly, it can feel heavy in every way, emotionally, practically, physically. So I'd love to ask you, what would you say to someone who is right in the middle of that and trying to find her footing one step at a time?
Because for me, some woman that is trying to find her footing, the best thing that I did was reach out. I reached out to friends. I let them know what I was going through. I spent a whole lot of time in prayer. But I think when you're in the middle of it, I think that you should surround yourself. I think you should.
With the community, right?
With the community, yes.
And
don't isolate. Because if you isolate, depression sets in quickly.
And we didn't talk about this, but I know that you are also very holistic person, very inwarded and believing in God.
Yes.
So how that part helped you?
For me, it was something to where I realized after all of the loss around me, whether that's friends, whether that's marriages, whether that's jobs, I realized for me when it was still and quiet, that gave me peace. It gave me peace. It gave me strength. And I started reading, and the journaling as I'm reading really helped me a lot because it helped me put into perspective what emotions that I was feeling as I was going through all of these things, as I was downsizing, as I was going from 2,000 square foot down to 1,000 square feet and going through my things. It just helped to give me that calm to where I really wasn't listening to outside noise or judgment or anything from anybody else. It was just staying focused on this is what I need to do and I'm okay.
If this story reminds you of someone you love, share it with them so they know they are not alone. And please subscribe for more honest conversation about home, life, transition, and moving forward after 55.